Hello, everyone. I'm Taylor Kell.
I'm Nick Pilata.
I'm Otto Ridenauer, and our group worked on e-commerce and logistics. And so we're going to start with COVID and how it's related to e-commerce. The trend towards e-commerce has been clear for years. E-commerce has been growing at over 10% per year for the last few years pre-COVID. And COVID has greatly accelerated this trend. During COVID, stores were shut down, and when stores reopened, a lot of people didn't feel safe going into stores, especially if they were elderly or had pre-existing conditions. So to be able to buy the things that people needed, they had to buy it online. And this was great for e-commerce companies. This led to huge demand spikes, which was great for their growth, but also showed some interesting trends for the future and interesting problems that they will be facing in the future as it relates to hiring, warehousing, and other topics. And so I'm going to pass it over to Taylor to talk a little bit about that.
Thank you, Otto. My article looks at the hiring surges for warehousing, trucking, and parcel delivery. My article identified these three sectors of logistics as those most closely related to e-commerce. But the overall main purpose of my article was to highlight how real people are being affected by these increased e-commerce sales. Although approximately 46,000 jobs were added in the month of October to these three different sectors, many companies have still found themselves understaffed. As we'll get into more detail later, you'll start to notice many of these solutions have to do with automation. This was a key theme throughout all of our articles. I'll now pass it over to Nick to get more in depth about that.
Thank you, Taylor. So with labor shortages plaguing almost all sectors of the logistics industry, automation seems to be the remedy. Automation has made massive improvement in recent years. Robots have been built with artificial intelligence, which has given them unprecedented adaptability. Despite these advancements in automation, some companies do not yet see it as a prudent investment. Most notably of these companies is Amazon. Their rationale for this is explained by Brad Porter, the vice president of Amazon Robotics, who said, "The company's enormous and quickly changing inventory still beats even the best combination of artificial intelligence computer vision and grippers." The end goal of automation is to develop an artificial intelligence system that can handle the same variety as humans can. Although this goal seems to be very distant, there's enormous innovation in automation, as countless numbers of startups have begun to sell robots tailor-made for the warehousing industry. So moving on to warehousing, e-commerce gives customers access to the entire inventory. In October, there were 28,100 jobs created relating to warehousing online orders. To offer customers a fast and reliable delivery of their products, Amazon has had to invest in hundreds of fulfillment and distribution centers, including millions of feet in warehousing. Out of the sectors most affected by e-commerce, warehousing is automating the fastest. The warehouse industry is quickly growing, and labor shortages are at the risk of impeding that growth. So, fully automated warehouses have been developed in which humans are only needed to unload the packages into the building and then pick them up for delivery.
And so another trend in warehousing is something called micro-fulfillment. And so in micro-fulfillment, instead of building huge million square foot fulfillment centers, you build much smaller, more frequently designed distribution centers in urban areas that are closer to customers. And so an example of this is a company called Fabric located in Brooklyn, and they designed a 7,500 square foot micro-fulfillment center. And so a lot of these micro-fulfillment centers are highly automated, but the automation is designed to work with humans, not necessarily replace them. So in Fabric's example, they designed the bins so they're stacked up to 23 feet high. And so what the robots do is they go up and grab the bins and bring them down for humans, but then the humans have to reach into the bin, pick out the orders, and pack the orders and send them along the line. And so we see kind of a hybrid approach here. So instead of completely getting rid of humans, although there are much less human workers required, they work together to accomplish these goals. And the ultimate goal of micro-fulfillment is to get product out in hours, not days. So if you can locate these fulfillment centers in these urban areas that are close to a large population base, you'll be able to get product out a lot faster.
Moving on to the other two sectors, trucking and parcel delivery, we can see that they both are experiencing job increases, but are both experiencing labor shortages. Unlike warehousing, where robots are able to come in and help humans perform. Trucking is not able to automate like that. The technology for self-driving vehicle already exists, maybe not at like the trucking level, but in the years to come, it will take many changes to laws and regulations for that to become feasible. In parcel delivery, they are automating using robotic parcel sortation systems, which are used to sort the packages before they're placed in a vehicle to get brought to the house. One of the biggest issues with parcel delivery is the issue of last mile home delivery. This is a tough thing that many companies have not been able to solve. Moving on. Looking at showrooming and web rooming, these are ways in which consumers purchase their items. Showrooming is when a customer goes in person to view the item and then decides to purchase it online. Web rooming is when a person looks online and then decides to go into the store. So what does this mean as a supply chain manager? You need to make sure you have efficient distribution channels so you are able to compete in both the real and physical world, or both the physical and virtual world. How have brick and mortar style businesses responded to this? Well, places like Best Buy have instituted price matching policies to combat people going into their stores and finding what they like and then finding a cheaper price online. Moving on.
So, looking at traditional retail distribution versus drop shipping. Instead of traditional retail distribution, in which the product moves from the manufacturing distribution center to the retail distribution center, the retail store, and then finally to the customer, drop shipping is when the order is shipped directly from the manufacturer to the customer, bypassing the entire distribution center network. Smaller quantities are shipped at higher cost, but it allows retailers to offer greater product variety. The pros of this is that it's low startup costs, low risks, and it allows dropshipping to streamline sales. The cons are there's high competition, there's very low margins, and there's low brand control. So passing it on to Otto.
And so here we see a diagram of a dedicated e-commerce distribution system. And so obviously a company like Amazon comes to mind when you think of this. So how they fulfill their needs is they buy directly from a manufacturer, and the manufacturer will deliver into their fulfillment center. They'll deliver in pallets. And so then the product comes in, they have to break the bulk, they have to store it away appropriately. And then customers have to order the items, and then within the fulfillment center, they'll pack the item and send it away. And this is a very efficient, very streamlined distribution channel. And it takes a lot of cost and headache out of the system. And it gives companies like Amazon a competitive price advantage because it is such an efficient system. And it allows for a potentially unlimited product offering because all you need to do is buy products from whatever product you need, and you can ship it into the fulfillment center and ship it right out. And so it allows for great flexibility and product offering. And so looking to the future of e-commerce, as we mentioned earlier, e-commerce has been on the rise and it's only going to get bigger. In 2018, 87 billion packages were delivered in the US. But this number is expected to double by 2025. So this is going to allow for huge opportunities in the market. And companies are going to have to figure out how not only to meet this demand, but how to build the infrastructure to do it. And so the key trend that's likely to be accelerated is automation. Companies are looking for two things: to improve efficiency and improve profit margins. And automation largely hits on both of these topics. And so while this will displace some laborers in more manual jobs, it'll also lead to more managerial positions for humans. And so there's very likely to be some displacement of workers due to automation, but will allow for other opportunities. And it's going to be interesting to see how companies balance this, if they take more of a complete automation and completely get rid of workers, or if they look towards more of a hybrid system where workers work with the robots and vice versa. And although that's what it looks like now, if there are major advances in technology, we could also see complete automation. If they figure out how to cheaply replicate human hands, we could see more complete automation in the future. But it'll be interesting to see how companies are able to balance this and what the future will be like for e-commerce.